Hello, Brother Jack here. Many people were worried about some comments Bill Gates made about using digital certificates and about his investments towards developing a technology known as quantum dots that are like an invisible tattoo that could accompany a vaccine in order to identify who has received it, and about Microsoft's participation in the ID 2020 Association that promotes the implementation of a biometric digital identity for the entire world. All of this has brought about speculation that a vaccine for COVID-19 could be the mark of the beast. But we want to clarify that we do not believe that a COVID-19 vaccine will be the mark of the beast. It would only be similar to the prophecy about the mark of the beast if it were compulsory for buying and selling. But I repeat, we don't believe that such a vaccine is the mark of the beast. The implementation of the mark of the beast has a lot more to do with the elimination of cash, something which many countries are already working on, and the use of implantable microchips that can identify people and be used to instantly transfer funds. We've explained this issue of microchip implants, its connection to money, and how it all relates to the teachings of Jesus in several videos on this channel. So we want to be clear that we're not specifically against a vaccine for COVID-19, nor against vaccines in general. Vaccines are very useful and beneficial since they combat and prevent many diseases. Some of us have worked for years as missionaries in countries like Africa and places like India, and we've seen firsthand what happens to countries where people are not vaccinated against diseases such as polio or tetanus and other illnesses that practically do not exist where the majority of people have been vaccinated. Vaccines work, and it is good to use them to help prevent disease. In fact, if and when a vaccine for COVID-19 is developed, if it has nothing to do with buying and selling, we would probably get it, assuming that there are no other associated risks or health contraindications. The reason we have to even make this video is because there is a growing number of people who profess to be Christians who are also anti-vaxxers and who generally are against anything that has to do with science. However, science in itself is not bad. There is no genuine conflict between science and faith. True science is simply knowledge acquired through a sincere search for answers and solutions to problems that we all face. Be it how we build better, more energy-efficient homes, better bicycles, how to produce electricity, means of communication, and in the case of health, how to prevent and treat diseases. What is bad is when people believe that they don't need God, simply because they have some intellectual knowledge, be it religious knowledge or scientific knowledge. However, the scientific method in itself of looking for truth and basing our conclusions on tested evidence is something good, as it means that there is a system of accountability and that scientific discoveries can be put to the test to determine whether or not they are true, or to what degree we can have confidence in the findings. Having said that, a point that we do want to emphasize is that this whole issue of COVID-19 is advancing Satan's plan to eventually install a world government that will control the entire population of the world by means of a mark, without which people will not be able to buy and sell. The nations of the world are cooperating more and more among themselves. The global economy is at risk of falling, and everyone is looking for a lasting solution to the myriad problems that we're facing on a global scale. All of this is used to justify an increasing political unity between nations, and therefore giving more authority to political bodies such as the United Nations, that is already working to solve a number of serious global problems, and in searching for a political and/or religious leader that can coordinate it all. Yet even if science itself is not evil, it becomes so when it is used for evil ends. Science has been used to create chemical, nuclear, and biological weapons, surveillance and spy systems, and it is leading to a cashless society in which people can do all of their buying and selling by means of implantable microchips. That is the dark side of science. Unfortunately, the dark side of religion also contributes to the problem. Every time religious people refuse to accept positive scientific truths and instead promote superstition, it results in physical and social damage. It widens the false division between science and faith, and it creates an environment in which the people that believe in God are seen as ignorant, naive, and even stupid by the rest of society. The Antichrist will take advantage of all this and will magnify atheistic science as the only absolute truth, and will ridicule all religions to the point of entering the final physical temple in Jerusalem, seating himself there and pretending to be God, demanding that everyone worship him and the false god of artificial intelligence. A god created by man in his own image, and based on that dark side of science. Now, more than ever, we have to be very careful with everything that we read and watch. There are too many people promoting conspiracy theories instead of promoting Jesus and his teachings. There are too many religious people giving very bad advice and promoting false hopes in superstitions and escapist doctrines. All of this leaves us vulnerable before the system. We need more sincerity and humility, the kind that has the courage to accept when it is wrong and make the necessary changes to get back on track without worrying about what others may think. We need to keep our mind clear and our ears open to the voice of God, and not be deceived or intimidated by the official representatives of the secular system, nor by religious leaders. We are in very significant times, and the deception is and will be very great. The only thing that can keep us spiritually from this deception is Jesus, but only if we are willing to accept the truth no matter the cost. Are you prepared to give up everything and to dedicate the rest of your life from here on in to be a full-time disciple of Jesus? The Bible says this about the end times: "And then shall the wicked one be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they received not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this cause God shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie, that they all might be damned who believed not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness." Stay awake and take the teachings of Jesus seriously, or you will be deceived in these significant times.